Red 2 standing by, all four lit and in the green. Welcome back to Donkey Kong 64. It's time for the final boss fight and I'm going to be rusty. But we'll give it a crack. Let's go. There we are. Okay, little secret. This is actually my second run at getting this sorted out. I really wasn't happy with the commentary in the first one, so I'm trying again. Fortunately, you can rematch the final boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event of the game! We bring you 12 3-minute rounds of boxing for the undisputed heavyweight championship of DK Isles. Brought to you this evening by Rare and Nintendo in association with K-Rool Enterprises. Introducing the Kong family versus King Crusher K-Rool.
Interestingly, Greg Males said that the K in K-Rool doesn't really stand for anything. Excuse me. It can stand for whatever you like, really. He said it could stand for Kremling, it could stand for Keith. And quite frankly, I think the fact that it could stand for Keith is just too hilarious to pass up. Interesting to note though, the microphone says 3-minute rounds, they're actually 2 minutes 30.
Judges at ringside are non-existent and your timekeepers tonight will act in a fair and unbiased manner.
That cough was deliberate because, as you can see, the timekeepers are anything but fair and unbiased. So this is basically the final exam. All the skills we've learned through the game.
Weighing in at a solid 800 pounds, I give you the Prime Primate.
All the skills we have learned will be put to good use. We will need them. This is one amazing fight. It's tough. It is seriously tough. But it's amazingly enjoyable. So, after a few shockwaves, barrel cannons will appear. Wait for K-Rool to lower his guard, then slug him in the jaw with the cannon. Right, so, wait carefully. He will start faking out on the 3rd and 4th round, so be patient. Whoops. Now, if you run out of time in a round, you will have to do it again with the health you had when it finished. There we are, 3 out of 4 hits. Whoops, just jumping a little late on that one. Whoops, I pressed the button a little too... Pressed the button a little too early because I thought I had to jump into the cannon. If you get your timing right, you can slug him during those fake outs. And there we go! 4 hits and he goes down like a sash window.
And now making his way into the ring, it's the champ of chimps.
It is worth noting that Diddy is not actually a chimp. Chimps don't have tails. Now, I kind of hate this one, but there are some tricks you can use with the rocket barrel to actually mitigate your problems. K-Rool throws homing boxing gloves with a very good targeting arc. And unfortunately, you're sort of looking from above. Avoid those boxing gloves. Fly. Oh, I've still got the cheats on. Have I got one of them? I have not hit a single one. Alright, that's one of them. Homing ammo doesn't really help here. There we are! Lights right onto the head. Now, position yourself in the right spot. And if you hover, you'll be able to hit the targets with a bit more ease. There we go. It also has the effect of nullifying any attacks he's making. Alright, just a little. Alright, so get out of the way. But yeah, you will get slugged into the sky if those attacks hit you. I still don't like the handling of the rocket barrel, but I've got a bit better at it. Wait, how did that work? I mean, it's lights out for K. Rool, but I blew up the other target without actually hitting it. You see where this is going.
He boasts the longest reach currently in the world today. Introducing...
And you are going to have to put Lanky's long reach to good use because his arms really stretch just for you. So, K. Rool still has the light on his head. So, just for this fight, we will wind up getting run over, and we have to hit those switches. Throw these barrels, and a banana peel will appear. Position yourself right. Try to avoid getting run over. Then call K. Rool over to you with the trombone for some slapstick goodness. Of course, coordinating everything is a little tricky. For some reason, he can only really hear you if you're actually playing the trombone on those pads, as far as I know. Alright, so... trying to actually grab the barrels can be a bit of a nuisance. Alright, so positioning is vital. Wait for him to keep blundering around the arena. He will get faster. Also, pay attention to which way he's facing because he'll turn that way. So basically, if he's facing to the right of the screen, he'll turn towards his right hand. If he's facing towards the left... there's the last one. Oh, he's coming at me. Note that he has to specifically be charging at us. He's just walked over the banana peel there. This should get it. Flat on his backside, lights out. severe butt-related trauma and probably the shockwave from hitting his head in the light. And let's face it, there's glass and wiring and everything in those lights. It's a miracle his head hasn't been utterly lacerated. It's a wonder both his eyes don't look horrible. But they've somehow managed to fix the lights up and they are now trying to get his head out of there. You know, it's a pretty good job that they actually managed to get everything sorted out so damn quickly. They must actually have some pretty good contractors. Mind you, I don't exactly see the Kremlings using unionized labor, so they probably got forced into it. And there we are. And they're all dead. Probably doesn't think very much of killing his minions in the line of duty as such. Long as the Kongs go down, that's it. I mean, the Blastomatic has been shut down completely. This is essentially the final showdown.
Hailing all the way from DK Isles, it's the girl with the whirl.
As I was saying, this is essentially K. Rool's final chance at getting revenge on the Kongs. So, Tiny's is a little easier to deal with. Assuming you don't wind up sort of clipping it. K. Rool's backside still hurts from where he fell over in the last round, but he's trying to convince everyone that he's okay. You can get winged by his boxing gloves. Please get in the barrel. We have to get into K. Rool's shoe. The timer deactivates in here. Shoot his toes. First one takes 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. K. Rool is taking a huge string of amusing injuries throughout the entire fight. I keep flying into his gloves. Dare I say it, glove at first sight, ha ha. I mean, all those shockwaves probably can't hurt and can't really help him. I mean, what did he have for breakfast? There is a cycle of attacks we have to watch out for. There we go. It is very helpful that the timer is actually shut off while we are inside K. Rool's shoe. It'd be a bit dodgy if it wasn't, in all fairness. Alright. 2 more toes to go. Just shoot away, toe the line. And there we are. Can't imagine what the smell would be like in there. That'd be horrible. And that makes me wonder, do you think the Kremlings would actually be against, like, crocodile leather shoes and things like that? What would their reaction be to actually making shoes out of other animal leather? Let alone the crocodile leather ones. How would they think? How would they view different animals and things like that? You automatically get your gun out, by the way, so there's no problem in that regard. Why do his feet make noise? That always fakes me out. 2 down, 2 to go. And there we are. Now, Chunky's round is the one that always trips me up a bit because you actually have to be all the way through the punch to hit K. Rool. So, of course, our timekeepers are ready to go.
Tipping the scales at a mighty 2,000 pounds, he's the hard-hitting...
If we get this right, this is victory. K. Rool's bringing out some special powers here. He will try and hit you by going through the center of the arena. For some reason, the switch is only Super Simian Slam. Maybe because you don't need Super Duper Simian Slam to get to this point. So, dodge K. Rool and get into the barrel. And get ready to punch his lights out. This is the first time we actually land proper haymakers on him, and K. Rool's not keen. Alright, so... Whoops. Ran right into him. Line him up, he gets a little faster. Straight back across the arena. He will go invisible next and get a little bit faster. That's the one I always stuff up on because I didn't realize you've got to time things fairly well to get right through the punch when you get to him. Double away. And bang! Not too bad now that I've got the timing down. The last bit is trickier because K. Rool zigzags. He's still invisible as well. But there we go. One more punch and we've got him down. He zigzags. Down he goes! Chunky's hefty haymakers put the king down and secure the victory in the ring. But even then, despite our efforts, K. Rool isn't out of it yet. And he does not take losing very well. Chunky is still oblivious. But who was that? Who whistled? And cue the 70s sax as Candy struts into the arena. I think there was a bit of a connection in some way with the K. Rool pursuing Candy in the cartoon. I'm not sure. But either way, that is some seriously incompatible biology. Mammalian and reptilian, but either way, Candy's using the charm to put K. Rool right where she wants him. Because, of course, there is a plan. Oh yeah, when Funky Kong talked about reptile kicking hardware, he wasn't joking. The main monkey's packing a mean boot gun. Target acquired. And talk about your good old-fashioned ass-kickings. And K. Lumsey is not happy to see K. Rool. Or at least somewhat happy. And there he goes. He got beaten so badly that he probably wouldn't appear for about 8 years. I think one of the Mario Sluggers games was his last appearance, and then it took about 10 years. And he would turn up in Super Smash Bros. A very welcome return, admittedly, and I hope we do see him back. K. Rool is a bit crazy, but he's incredibly durable, and he's just been an iconic villain. Anyway, that is a much smoother run, with much less frustration, of the final boss fight of Donkey Kong 64. We've cleared the game 101%, and we get some special stuff as well. Here's our credits sequence. It's been a beautiful adventure, honestly. I'll sum things up kind of at the end of it. I'll tack on a little bit extra after this. There will be one more episode that deals with the bonuses and things like that. Grant Kirkhope in charge of the music. This game has a phenomenal soundtrack. There are some flaws along the way. It's not entirely play-tested. I mean, there are problems with beavers, among other things. But you can't fault the soundtrack. The soundtrack is beautiful. It helps create the mood so well. That concept of atmosphere in games, everything is so well supplemented by Grant Kirkhope's music. And he's been making those hits for a long time. I mean, just listen to Mario and Rabbids, the music that appears in the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC. The theme Lagoon Promenade is a remix of the DK Isles theme from this game, and it's just beautiful. It's phenomenal. Good old Chunky. Interesting, Chris Seaver and Chris Sutherland actually did quite a few voices in Banjo-Kazooie. For example, Sutherland voices both Banjo and Kazooie, and Seaver does a disturbingly good job of voicing Gruntilda. The Stamper brothers are the ones who kicked it off. Funky would eventually drop his arms-dealing business and go back to chilling out, running a shop. I think he took over from Cranky. Cranky was the shopkeeper in DKC Returns, but for Tropical Freeze, Funky takes over, and in the Switch version demonstrates that when he wants to, he can be incredibly good at adventuring. He just prefers to chill out and relax, but if you get him in on the action and he's willing to go, oh boy is he going to be good. And there's good old Cranky. Now, if you wind up running out of time in a round, Cranky will encourage you not to give up and demonstrate some of the old magic that he would have given K. Rool, which results in him doing his back and falling over. I'll have to include that. But Cranky does seem to be of pretty advanced age here, but even in spite of that, he would still be ready to throw down when it came to Tropical Freeze. Like, this was the Kong's last adventure for some time. There would be a few games along the way where they'd appear, mostly ensemble cast games and Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, aka Donkey Kong Jet Race. I kept calling the Baboon Blast courses Barrel Blast courses. But this is one hell of an adventure. I mean, it was so ridiculously big that maybe it just seemed strange in a number of ways, but it's still got so much appeal to it that it's, in its own way, it's kind of hard to top. It's definitely bigger. Is it necessarily better than the 2D games? There might be a few arguments. I definitely believe that Tropical Freeze is art. I believe it's as close to art in video games as you're going to get, and there's a lot of art in video games. This one it's art in its own way, I feel. It's been a lot of fun, apart from dealing with beavers, apart from a few janky races. Crystal Caves was not a good spot for me, but Creepy Castle just stepped up. It moved things up so well. You've got so many great levels right from the outset. All the design work is absolutely beautiful, and sure, it's challenging. But it can be challenging in a good way as well as challenging in a kind of janky way. It is, overall, still an enjoyable game, and yes, it's got its flaws, but oh boy, can it be good. When it hits the high note, when it hits the right notes, it hits them so well. It's not perfect, it never will be perfect, and perhaps its flaws stand out a little more with time. But it's still a gem as far as I'm concerned. In its own way, it shines brilliantly. There's something else we get to do. Not sure how you get this particular part of the ending. A very peaceful scene of the Kongs travelling along with Kay Lumsey. Look at that goofy grin on Chunky's face. He's so happy. I mean, he got to punch out the biggest, baddest Kremling of all. Chunky's very happy. The dynamic between him and Tiny seems to be pretty good as well. They seem to get along quite well, and would be interesting to actually see Chunky reappearing in more recent games. Having the opportunity to bring the Kongs from this game back would be very nice. Tiny has returned. She shows up in Diddy Kong Racing DS and in one of the Mario Sluggers games with a very, very different look. So we've got a very peaceful cruise across the waters of DK Isles. But then as for the next bit of the ending, which you have to pretty much 100% complete the game, get absolutely everything, just watch.
Next. 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 Next.
To be fair to Dogadon, I think quite a lot of people who played this game have beaver-induced trauma. But since it's fairly short, we'll wrap things up with... I did a little bit of practice work. And we can actually have a demonstration of the arenas. That's not the right one. So, our bonuses, the Ramby Arena and the On Guard Arena, there's only one of each. I've already set a few scores, so I'll include those in here, and then I'll wrap things up with a bit of wandering around. Scores? Basically, if you know one of the minigames that appeared in Hideout Helm, the Ramby Arena is basically that. Run around and find beavers. Basically, just charge around, smack the beavers, and try and line up for combo shots. Can be a little difficult, or you get to do stuff like that. But with the right tactics, you will be able to get a pretty good high score. Just charge around. I mean, I'm not doing great. And even then, I still got 140. So that's basically how the Ramby Arena works. Run around and attack beavers. A little bit of catharsis for everyone who dealt with beaver bother. So once we've done that one, we can replay the DK Arcade and Jetpack. But let's get on to the On Guard Arena, which was less... It was given less foreshadowing as such. Basically, what we have to do... That's right, I have to be holding the A button, don't I? Where is On Guard's music? Oh, for heaven's sake. Thank you. Not exactly on cue. Now, if we get this right, we can hit the ones up in the air for a better score. We do still have to hold A. Why did that count? I just sort of waddled along the land and it still worked. I'm not very good at controlling On Guard, as you might see. Oh well. Oh well, 4th place isn't too bad. So that's basically how the Rambi Arena and the On Guard Arena work. They're interesting, but you've only got one of them, which is kind of a pain. Oh crumbs, we're doing it again. Oh well, let's see if we can get a higher score then. This time the music has started at the right time. That's how you're supposed to do it. On Guard is meant to swim with the style and grace that Lanky cannot muster on account of having no style and no grace, which is probably not made up for by his funny face. Always pull that just a little too close. Whoops. And if we're... That was smooth. That was a lot better. Well, we've... And if we... There we go! New high score. Coming to grips. Oh, I just missed. Well, not too bad, not too bad. Got a high score, but that's pretty much all there is. There are no other actual arenas. You just have those one sets of challenges for each of them. We do get our boss replay mode, so we can you'll fight them with the Kong you have at the time and the maximum health you have at the time. So it's an interesting rematch, but it's not going to do too much. If you've already beaten them, you should have a pretty good idea of what to do. It can be an opportunity to practice. Crusher appears in multiplayer. As I said, he was meant to be playable, and we can switch him on and have him accessible as a character. Crusher actually has a slight attack for his sort of run, press Z, and then press B move, kind of like DK's roll and Tiny's sliding kick. For our cheats, we basically get unlimited coins, ammo, oranges, film, and crystal coconuts, and instruments. So, let's pop into the game and have a quick demonstration of what happens. Let's see, probably a good place to go and test this out would be in Angry Aztec, since this is at least where DK can use Strong Kong fairly close to the start. You will note that we're still picking up regular ammunition. We get unlimited homing ammunition when we have homing ammo in Fungi Forest. So as soon as you get that, you will have unlimited homing ammo. So, we have unlimited grenades, which nearly bounced back and hit me. So, not too bad, all things considered. Can make other playthroughs a bit more fun, but also incredibly easy. So, no more worrying about crystal coconuts. We have as many as we need. effortlessly beat up a few enemies and cruise along. How far can we go with this anyway? There is usually a point where these power-ups will be taken away from you. So we don't really have limitations. That's cool. That's actually really cool. Oh, there we are. Yeah, so after certain points, you will, of course, lose your power-ups. But there we are. That is pretty much how it all works. You get an unlimited use of pretty much anything. And if you want to make your next playthroughs easier, that is pretty much it. That is essentially all the bonus stuff. We can go into Snide's HQ and play some of the games. But that's pretty much about it, in all fairness. Once you've beaten this already incredibly expansive game, there's obviously not a lot to do. You don't really have a post-game, which is kind of understandable. But, nonetheless, it has been a pretty enjoyable adventure. You can take on some of the challenges in Snides if you want to. You can go and torture yourself with beavers if you really must. But aside from that, there's not really much to do. It'd probably be just wandering around picking up the last few regular bananas you missed. But yeah, that is pretty much it. That's a little demonstration of what we have with our cheats and everything. I suppose that winds up wrapping up the adventure. We've done a lot. We've come a very long way from where it all started. It is quite a journey. Still around about... Still took about 20 hours all told, including all the failures and things like that. There's still a good length of time in it, but oh boy, is a lot of it just running around after somewhat unnecessary collectibles. It's a bit of an interesting one. Donkey Kong 64 was, and still is, the biggest collectathon made. It's probably a bit too ambitious in some ways. It has a lot of really neat ideas, but the major problem is that the way everything winds up being implemented makes it incredibly fiddly. There are so many things which actually are done really well, but a lot of things which also are a bit problematic along the way. Because a lot of the aspects could easily be remedied by letting you switch Kongs on the fly. Otherwise, it's just kind of a drag getting everything sorted out. It is certainly not a huge problem in many ways. It's just one of those little quality of life things that could easily be changed in a remake. It's far from the worst game out there. It has its horrible challenges. There were lots of things that, because this was a bit rushed, didn't really get play tested. So in all fairness, some of them could have been implemented a bit better, in all honesty. Some of them could have been much, much worse. We can still go back and do the final boss fight anytime we like. So, there are lots of things which could have been done better. There are plenty of things which could have been a lot worse when it comes to this. But overall, it's not that horrible a game. It's not quite as bad as a lot of people might, quote-unquote, remember. And I do think it does deserve a pretty good reputation. It has its flaws, but it pushed a lot of boundaries as well. It was one of those things that's like, okay, let's just see what happens if we really do try this. Can we actually do it? Maybe you shouldn't necessarily go utterly overboard. But it's still well worth it. It's worth experiencing at least once, because it can be frustrating in many ways. The stupid rabbit race, the beetle. Almost anything to do with beavers. but at the same time, it's still so rewarding. There's so much work that went into this. The soundtrack is beautiful. The way the levels are designed is absolutely beautiful. Overall, it's just a phenomenal game with so much I can recommend about it. So much I can probably honestly criticize. I'll be fair about that. But there is so much that just makes this an incredibly worthwhile adventure too. All I can say is just go ahead and form your own opinions on things. Give it a try and see what you think. It really is, for me anyway, something special. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because I grew up with it. I've grown up with a lot of games like this, so I have a lot of fondness for Rare's games, even if some of them do have their janky moments along the way. But even for all those janky moments, I don't think it's the nostalgia goggles to say that, yeah, these were generally pretty good games. They had their flaws, but they certainly weren't horrible. They're like people in a way. There are so many good things, but there are flaws along the way too. And when you learn to try, and when you start to better yourself to overcome those little flaws along the way, that's the important part. Thankfully, these flaws aren't really deal breakers, but you can be honest about it. Anyway, it's probably time to wind things up for the Donkey Kong 64 project. It's been a hell of an adventure. As always, look after yourself, be good to one another, and please, get a driver's license before you pick up your own island. How on earth did K. Rool actually get that here without being pulled over by the cops? I mean, seriously, you look at this thing, what sort of heavy vehicle license would you need for that thing? And even then, the henchman he's got actually steering the blasted thing were terrible. Seriously, get qualified. Pay attention to a lot of the expert wisdom and safety measures. They're there to save lives. Anyway, do be good to one another. Do find the positives in the world. And I will see you next time. Until the next mission, this is Red 2, returning to base.